We live in a racist world. I know. I was down in Augusta, Georgia. Ever been down there? Klan meeting going on. Why is the Klan still having meetings? Is there any new business with the Ku Klux Klan? Well, we hate everybody, right? Okay, see you next week.
9 billion names of pod.
From Atlanta,
where the Chuckle Shack and Gaffigan Gardens have merged into an artisanal comedy emporium.
it's the 9 billion names of pod. Dan Bauman and Michael Reed. I'm Dan Bauman.
I'm wondering what Russell Cosby thinks of his brother these days.
So, let's talk about some stuff.
Well, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to try to do my Cosby impersonation, and then I realized I don't have one.
Yeah.
Something about Jell-O and the thing and the drinking and the,
The pudding pops and all
and
that.
the pudding
Stand-up comedians in light of the recent loss of one of the greats.
the last remaining of the OG greats, Don Rickles.
Isn't Alan King still around?
Is he?
Yeah, I think Alan King is still alive, but
is he?
barely.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
okay.
all those old Friars Club
all the
guys.
kings.
Yeah.
You know.
All the original like 50s comics.
Yeah. And Rickles was I don't think he was part of the Rat Pack, but he was Rat Pack adjacent.
Yes, he was definitely, yeah.
I think Joey Bishop was the comedian in that
Yes,
group. And let's face it, they all were, known to provoke a wry smile, but mostly they were singers.
Yeah. I mean, they all did their, borderline racist comedy act with Sammy Davis Jr., but my favorite, speaking of that, my favorite Rickles story that he tells is that he was in a restaurant and he was eating and he had a date. He was at some girl, and Sinatra comes in with his with his entourage. So Rickles excuses himself and he goes over to the table. He says, "Hey Frank, great, I got a girl over there. I really want to impress her. Would you mind coming over and saying hello and being all Sinatra?" And he's like, "Don, I don't want." He's like, "Come on, please." So he's like, all right. So they all have dinner, and near the end of the meal, Sinatra, comes on over and he gets to the table. He goes, "Hi, I'm," and Rickles cuts him off and goes, "Frank, will you stop bothering me? I have a guest here. Will you leave me alone, please? God, all right, you're a great singer. Get out of here, would you?" He said Sinatra's goons grabbed him by the shirt and threw him out of the restaurant. That's balls.
Yeah, Sinatra didn't take kindly.
Well, he thought it was funny, but it was also funny to toss him out on his ear.
Of course. Yes, I've told you about or have I told you about the time that Harlan Ellison almost got into it with Sinatra and one of his bodyguards. I don't think you haven't
told me that.
That's basically the story right there.
Oh,
that I mean.
Yeah, if you know anything about Harlan Ellison, him getting into it with somebody was not a uncommon occurrence.
He will get into it with somebody on the street who catches his eye the wrong way, and he'll,
And I'm sure he was not fazed by Sinatra or his bodyguard.
Oh God, no. He wouldn't be fazed by any mobster or anybody. He'd run his mouth, and 9 times out of 10, it'd turn out in his favor. He's still around, so
yeah,
that's right. He's still kicking.
So, as much like sketch and like sitcom stuff I watch, I did listen to a lot of stand-up growing up. Like, who were some of your favorites?
Well, of our generation, there's one and one only comedian we learned every word of his 2 comedy records.
His 2?
Come on.
I'm gonna say Steve Martin.
No.
Okay. I would say George Carlin.
No.
Okay, then you got me.
Eddie Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Those 2 Eddie Murphy albums.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
I mean, holy crap. That's I think that's the beginning of comedy for me as far as stand-up. I mean, what was I, 13, 14 when I discovered that?
Right. See, I was very lucky in that I was exposed to the Steve Martin albums and Monty Python stuff way before Eddie Murphy.
Fine, yes, your father was so much better than my father. I know.
In that respect, yes.
In so many respects, Dan. so many respects.
But yes, I grew up on the Let's Get Small and Wild and Crazy Guy albums from Steve Martin, which are just classic albums. I did the Eddie Murphy albums, though, were very timely when we were growing up.
Oh yeah. You got what I need. All that stuff. I mean, yeah. I mean, to this day, if I put that album on, I could mimic the entire record.
Yep.
All the way through.
Right.
As far as seeing comedy live,
yes.
Have you?
Much, and some of the greats.
Let's bring it.
Probably top of the heap is I saw George Carlin twice, maybe 3 times.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I saw him.
That's right, because you were back east where he performed a lot more. By the time I realized I need to see Carlin before, eventually, I did not know it would be quite as soon. He was doing residencies in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, do I got to go all the way to Vegas? Well, you flew all the way to New York to see Robin Hitchcock and or to see Soft Boys.
Yep.
And Blossom Dearie. I mean, Carlin's every bit as epic as they are. And by the time, I don't know, I got my head out of my ass to think seriously about it, gentleman had passed away.
Oh, okay.
That's just, there's a couple musical acts and celebrities that I can say, yep, I saw them live do their thing. And then there's probably 100 more that I had the opportunity to. Yep. Frank Zappa being the top of the regrets list.
Yeah, absolutely.
But from what I understand, that Broadway the Hard Way tour it disintegrated.
It was either the Broadway the Hard Way or the Best Band You Never Heard. I think that's the band that
well, the band is the Best Band You Never Heard.
But Broadway. No, I think the tour, that's the one that one of those are the ones that.
Were they two separate tours?
Yeah, because there's an album Broadway the Hard Way and there's an album
I thought they were both were both called from the same tour, I thought.
Maybe. They might have been. They're two totally different shows, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
But maybe. It very well may be.
Just, missed opportunities. Mm-hmm. So that's why when tickets went on sale for Adamant, I went, you know what? Not really high on my list to want to see, but you know what? The guy hasn't come over and played Atlanta in probably, 30 years?
I don't know.
He may not come again, so I got tickets. But we're talking about comedy.
Yes.
Comedy. So you got to see Carlin.
I got to see Carlin.
I will see your Carlin and match you Judy Tenuta.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
I will not match you with Judy.
Well, yeah.
That's like an Ewok going up against an AT-AT.
Well, I dropped the royal flush at the top.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you led with the nuclear bomb.
Right. If I had seen Pryor, that would have been the end of the conversation. But no, I did not see Richard Pryor.
No, that would have been impressive because I think he stopped doing stand up in like the early to mid 80s.
Probably, yeah.
Because was it ALS he had? He had
I believe so.
And
it was either that or Parkinson's.
You know what? I think you're right. I think it was Parkinson's. And let's face it, after the life he led, he was glad and amazed that he was alive.
Yes.
So,
but you saw Judy Tenuta?
Saw Judy Tenuta by accident.
Okay.
A friend of mine had an extra ticket to see Judy Tenuta. Mm-hmm. And at that point, all I knew about her was she had the accordion, and she would be like, and I'm like, okay, it's a thing to do.
Yep.
I have very little memory of the show, but horrible, painful memories of what was happening during the show elsewhere in San Diego. My girlfriend was cheating on me.
Oh.
So now Judy Tenuta and having my heart absolutely shredded for the first time are inextricably linked.
Oh, that sucks.
So luckily, Judy is not exactly all over TV news and
not so much
the
anymore.
Internet and everywhere.
She was big in the 80s. And,
you see her pop up every once in a while.
Every now and again,
like, there she is.
That sucks.
Like Kennedy from
MTV.
From MTV reminds me of her just without the accordion and the shrill voice.
Yes.
Which, of course, when you think about it, that's Judy Tenuta.
Yeah.
If you take away the shrill voice and the accordion, what do you got left?
Yeah.
Like Gilbert Gottfried. If he stopped going, what do you get? What do you got? just really badly timed 9/11 jokes.
Yep.
That's it.
I have seen Gilbert Gottfried live.
Have you?
I have, yes.
Okay.
My sister worked at Hofstra University while she was going. She was working the venue, whatever, and 2 of the shows she got me into. One was a guitar player named Stanley Jordan, who's a jazz guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And the other was Gilbert Gottfried.
Okay.
So and he was a brilliant stand-up. I mean, I am a huge, huge Gilbert fan. And I got to meet him sort of he was very quiet and very, like, his eyes were wide open. His eyes, hello, I like, it was not what you expect,
Well, speaking of not what you expect, there's a little television show called News Radio.
Oh, yes.
With the beloved and missed more every season The Simpsons is on.
Oh, Phil Hartman.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I mean, a brilliant cast all around, but, Phil Hartman at the top.
Yeah, Phil. Just. But Andy Dick's on that show.
Yes.
Now, his character on the show is kind of like Gilligan, kind of lovable, klutzy, whatever. That is not his stand-up.
Really?
Because I remember when News Radio went away and he started a stand-up tour. This is before some of his other shenanigans came to light. People were walking out of his shows in droves because they thought they were coming to see, for lack of a better term, Cosby, and they're getting Andrew Dice Clay.
Right.
Andy Dick has no problem going for any joke, no matter how offensive and how just sick and messed up that he can come up with. I've not seen him live, and I've heard very little of his stand-up, but his problems with drugs and prostitutes and the law and everything. So, a troubled gentleman.
Yes. You know who also had not those problems, but the how do I put it? The problem with the audience coming under false pretenses was, who I've not seen, unfortunately, yet, was Patton Oswalt. Because when he did Ratatouille, he got a big bump. And, he's not Saget, he's not Dice Clay, but he's an adult comedian,
right?
And he does swear and have adult subject matter. He's brilliant. He's one of the best going, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But
don't get into a Twitter war with Patton Oswalt. You will lose.
You will lose badly.
You will lose so badly your account will delete itself. You don't even have to do anything. It'll just go, the shame, I can't take it, and it'll kill itself.
Yeah. So when he did Ratatouille, he got the same thing. Like, a bunch of people bringing their kids, and he was like, "This is not a show for kids."
Yeah. Well, that's what you get. Same thing with was it Michael Richards?
Yeah.
Of course, he strayed into the.
Well, he went nuts that one time, and
hopefully it was that one time.
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully it was that one time, which they actually wrote into I think it was the last or next to last series of Curb Your Enthusiasm, where the whole plot of that particular season was, we're doing a Seinfeld reunion.
Yeah.
They weren't actually, but they did it, as a joke. And actually, if you cut together all the little rehearsal clips they show, you could piece together about a 15-minute Seinfeld episode. But the behind-the-scenes stuff was Michael Richards' issues with black people. And it showed very clearly, no, he's not a racist, but everything he does, to someone who doesn't know him, think, yes, he's a racist. No, I was, And I thought that was written, and he was a good sport for doing that, because, he was toxic after that.
He's still very much out of it.
Yeah. I'd have to say, it's tough. I've seen 2 of the greats, and I don't know who's better.
Okay.
I'm going to go... I got to go with Eddie Izzard.
Yeah. Yes.
Better than Louis C.K., but you know what? They're 2 different kinds of comedy.
See, they're completely different.
So it's like comedy is a huge genre. I mean, there's what's the watermelon motherfucker?
Oh, Gallagher.
Yeah, there's Gallagher, and then there's Lenny Bruce. They both do comedy, but Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's
but that's an extreme example.
right. That's like comparing Coldplay to, I don't know, Venom or
Yeah. But I mean, you can put Patton and Louis C.K. and Eddie Izzard all in the same row, in the same level.
Yeah.
I think, didn't we see Eddie together? One of the times.
That's right. I've seen him twice.
Yeah.
I saw him with you and I think Courtney.
Yep.
At Cobb Energy Center, and then Ellen and I went and saw him at the Fox.
Yeah, and I think I've seen him twice as well. I think I saw him one other time before we went as well. So yes,
it's not a contest, Dan.
No, because if it was, I would tell you that I saw Billy Connolly live.
Motherfucker. Hey, you've already dropped the fucking mic at the top of the show with Carlin. I mean, I don't think there's any other comic you could come at me with like, no, that's better than Carlin. If you got Carlin, that's
not a competition, Mike.
It's not a competition. But yeah, Eddie. God damn, what a good show!
Oh yeah.
He's got so much good material. It's almost like a Rolling Stones situation where, yeah, I know you've got new material, but do the Death Star again. And he did pepper little bits, little callbacks, but he wasn't sitting there going like, all right, I'm telling this joke. He kind of wove it into different ways. Where you're like, oh, I thought he was going to go this way. Oh my God, he's doing that bit again.
Yep.
And then he'd get out of it quickly because he wasn't trying to tread on past glory.
Yeah.
Louis C.K.
See, I have not seen Louis C.K.
Oh, he's a complicated motherfucker.
Oh yeah, his stand-up is really interesting.
His last monologue, he was just on SNL last night.
Was he?
With the Chainsmokers? Yeah. Oh. And his opening monologue was a little tough. You know, about racist chickens and it's like, I understand there's white privilege and that's bad, but hey, I'm white. Give me my privilege. As long as it's happening, give me my privilege. It's absolutely wrong that it's happening, but as long as it's happening, give me my privilege. And I'm like going,
yeah, he definitely shoves the envelope when he.
Yeah, he does. But the thing is that you trust him because he's not. he's not a racist. He's not an asshole.
Yeah,
he's just kind of a grouchy schlub that just kind of like,
Yeah, he does in a way that Sarah Silverman thing, even though she takes it to the nth degree, where he's telling you something kind of the opposite of what he means. He'll say something horrible, but the way he says it, he means it the opposite,
right?
To show how awful it is.
And Sarah Silverman kind of does that a bit. She kind of swerves into the I don't know, kind of the sexual politics and rape and stuff like that, and uses it as a joke. And part of me goes, ha ha, and the other part goes, I can kind of laugh at that because I've never been raped, but I can only imagine what someone who has been raped might hear that and go, oh, great, I just came here for a night of comedy, and now I got to listen to this. So,
yeah.
But you know what? That's why there's free speech in America.
Yeah.
So, part of me feels for you. The other part of me says, suck it up. We got to listen to a lot of crap that we don't like.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of crap that people didn't like at the time, who do you think is the most legendary comic who was well before his time, who broke barriers and suffered horribly for it, but paved the way for people like George Carlin?
Oh, Lenny Bruce.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I listened to some Lenny Bruce today, and even today, some of those.
It's interesting because I've listened to some Lenny Bruce too, and it's
narrative stuff.
Yes, it's almost not even stand-up comedy. It's more social commentary.
Well, it's social commentary, and towards the end of his career, after he had been hammered so much by the cops, it was more rants and anger.
Yeah.
About can you believe this? You're like, yeah, I can believe, but actually, it sucks what's going on. And
but you're absolutely right. We wouldn't have stand-up comedy now the way it is.
At least, or it'd be set back at least 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
I mean, and let's face it, even Carlin's, 7 words? I think we're down to 3 now.
Close to it, yeah.
Because I have heard, and even on cable, on FX Network, what was I watching recently? I can't remember. It was
Shit was the first one to go.
Shit went, Bullshit's gone, Asshole, it has gone.
Yeah.
Fuck is the only one, or the variations of fuck, fucker, motherfucker. Those one, but even on, I wish I could remember which show it was, but it was after, it was an FX show after 10 o'clock, and fuck was just being laid right out there. And FCC says you can do that.
Wow.
Yeah. But, well, first of all, they're not broadcast, so they could do it at, at 6 in the morning or 6 at night or whatever, because they're not broadcast. But they adhere to certain standards of decency, I guess decency.
Well, standards of what their sponsors will tolerate.
Well, what their sponsors will tolerate and what won't make people kick up a fuss. It's like, if you have shows that say motherfucker at 7 o'clock on Saturday morning,
that's a little,
it's like, but then the other part of me says, hey, parents, there's the thing called parental controls.
Yeah.
If you know what networks are doing motherfucker on Saturday mornings while you're asleep and the kids are watching cartoons and they get up early, lock those channels up.
Agreed.
That's, as for me, I like my kids to learn all the dirty words as quickly as possible.
Plus, and this is just a tangent, but it makes certain shows just feel more natural,
Well,
people don't say
gosh
crap.
darn it, you motherfudger. Like, what? I'm out of the show. I'm gone.
People don't talk like that.
Because I know what you're doing,
Yeah.
So, who else have you seen?
I have seen, one of the big ones I've seen Jim Gaffigan 2 or 3 times at least.
Hot Pockets.
And I was doubled over in pain from laughing.
Oh, he's
amazing and completely clean,
Yeah. He pretty much keeps it pretty darn.
I have one of his very, very first albums. That's like, it's in a very small club, and the only swear word he uses is so the way he does it, he drops it, is so funny. He says, people try to set you up on dates, and someone would be like, so what'd you think of Carol? Hey, fuck you. just the way he did it, just hearing him say that.
Well,
was amazing.
if you're not using swear words all the time, when you do use it, it adds extra,
Yeah.
My mouth is like a running sewer sometimes. I'm trying to get it under control. So when I don't use a swear word, it actually, wow, he didn't say motherfucker there. Okay.
So yes, I've seen.
Now, do you know where where most Americans got their first national taste of Jim Gaffigan? If you get this one, I'll be very impressed.
I know he had a sitcom
before.
Okay.
Well before, because that sitcom just ended recently.
Oh no! He had one way before he broke. He was
like an actor. It wasn't his sitcom. Kind of like David Letterman had a sitcom before he was on Late Night, but it wasn't his.
Speaking of which, Letterman produced that sitcom for Jim Gaffigan. Okay, the first I heard of him was the Beyond the Pale tour on Comedy Central. Okay, so no, I don't know.
It's animated. Same production team that did Home Movies.
Oh, was Dr. Katz?
Dr. Katz.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's the one about the manatee. Get a job, manatee. I have a thick layer of blubber and hang out in the ocean. Talk to the hand.
Yeah.
You just don't get a job.
I don't have a hand.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of his old bits, actually. That's on one of those records.
So I remember seeing that, and then like years later heard my first, I'm like, that's the Sea Cow guy.
Yep.
Oh my God, he's great. And then of course I heard Hot Pockets. So
on the Beyond the Pale. Now, speaking of Dr. Katz, that was a huge resource. Now, if you haven't seen it, we've talked about it on the show before. Dr. Katz, I always want to say medicine woman, but that's not.
Dr. Katz. First of all, no medicine and not a woman, but okay.
Dr. Katz was a therapist, and played by Jonathan Katz, who is a brilliant stand-up. I've also seen a bunch of his stuff on TV. With his receptionist was Laura Silverman, Sarah's sister.
I tell you, I fell in love with the sound of Laura Silverman's voice.
Totally, right?
I was just like, I can understand why H. John Benjamin was like, kept trying. That's where most people first got a load of John Benjamin.
He played Dr. Katz's son, I want to say.
50, it was son, 15, 20 years before Archer?
Oh,
it was
at least 15.
Long time.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to say that in the movie room, I have the complete Dr. Katz box set.
Nice. Oh. And Dr. Katz, his patients were all stand-up comics, and they would basically...
But we would know that they're stand-ups. They would just be patients that would come in with their problems, and their problems would be stand-up routines. They'd say, doctor, blah, blah, blah. And, of course, just having two people talk would be boring. No. They would animate the joke.
Yes.
So, like, you could get a picture, and it was gorgeous. It was wonderful. It was perfect.
And it was a lot of the, early 90s comics, Dom Herrera, who is a favorite of mine, and, that whole crew of people.
One of my early stand-up favorites, Emo Phillips.
Yes.
He's still around, and I still say he has brain damage. He sounds like not really, but his affect is brain damage.
Yeah.
I don't know what, or like he's on mescaline and he's fighting very hard to get the words out. But the comedy is really good.
I will have to post it because it's too long, and there's no possible way I could do it justice. I was listening to Penn Jillette's podcast, and he said he's
also known to be funny.
He's also known to be quite funny. He was talking about how Emo Phillips has, without a doubt, the best religious joke he's ever heard.
Oh my!
And he said he wouldn't do it. He said, "Look it up." So I will find it and I will post it. It's
all right.
Very long, but it is a brilliant religious joke.
All right, I'm all for poking fun at the religious stuff.
But Emo is a class unto himself. There was a time in the 80s where the stand-ups kind of branched out and they kind of went weird places, and that's what you get your Emo Phillips and your Stephen Wright and guys like that.
What are you talking about, Dan?
Yeah.
Stephen Wright, who made an appearance on Louis C.K.'s show, Horace and Pete.
Yes, indeed.
I love me some Horace and Pete. What was I going to say? 80s. Stephen. Well, actually, I was going to go to Stephen Wright because that was... he did, like, one album. I think it was, like, I Have a Pony.
Yeah.
And then, like, fucked off for 20 years as far as recorded material. Kept being a comic.
Yeah.
But just didn't do albums
anymore.
And then he came back some years ago with another... And it's the same... It's him.
He's never changed his style. He didn't need to. He invented that style.
He's got that style. Someone who also has a kind of a style that's somewhat like that, but a little more like this. He kind of does Todd Barry. Hey.
Yeah. I like Todd Barry a lot.
And he actually shows up on Louis C.K.'s other show, Louis.
Yeah.
He's one of the poker players.
Okay.
That he goes, the comics get together and play poker.
Right.
And he's one of them. And I like Todd Barry's
stuff.
Yeah,
Todd Barry's good. I thought you were going Mitch Hedberg.
No.
Mitch Hedberg was a different kind of weird affectation style.
Angry boy.
Well, more like...
Grouchy?
Nah, not so much grouchy, like kind of stoned.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Bill Hicks.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not Mitch. That's Bill Hicks.
Mitch, yeah.
Bill Hicks.
We'll get to Bill, but yeah, Mitch Hedberg was more kind of lost stoner kind of guy. This shirt is dry clean only, which means it is dirty. Just like weird one-liners like that.
Well, and that's kind of what Stephen Wright does. He has the most amazing,
yeah.
Da-na-na-na. No. That's it. That's the joke.
Yeah, that's the joke.
Set up, punchline, you're out in 5 seconds, and you're dying of laughter. Like, oh my God, that's brilliant.
My favorite Steve Wright joke is we drove cross country one time. We only had one cassette tape. I don't remember what it was.
What's your opinion of a comic that I used to enjoy that now I cannot stand and would like to punch repeatedly in the face until the upper portion of his neck is a fine mist? What's your opinion of Dennis Miller?
Oh, I can see your point. I can see your opinion of that.
Yeah.
The black and white special that he did,
classic,
brilliant,
just classic.
And his SNL stuff, brilliant. But he just went off the rails.
Well, he always had that kind of kind of,
you know,
yeah, kind of like, I'm a frat guy, but I kind of grew up a little bit, and I'm really full of myself.
It's the sarcasm guy.
Exactly.
You know,
like, I'm going to drop, 3 quarter, 25-cent words in a sentence and do a historical allusion that you're going to literally have to look up an encyclopedia to understand what I'm talking about. Okay, there, Twyla Tharp, you're like, what? And part of me went, wow, he's really shooting for a higher IQ audience.
And I respect that. Yeah.
I dig that, because
don't talk down to the audience.
Exactly. But now, basically, all his comedy insides have been scooped out and been replaced by Bill O'Reilly's hand.
Yeah.
He's just got that hand right up Miller's ass.
Yeah.
And he ain't funny anymore.
No.
Not really. I mean, he's probably doing pretty much the same thing he always did, just, picking on liberals and, quote-unquote, the leftists. We're leftists, Dan.
It's really funny because he's probably one of the few right-wing comics there are.
Well, he didn't start out that way.
Right.
He was evolved into it. Well, do you remember Fox News started getting really upset about how much power Jon Stewart had?
Yeah.
So they started what was it called, a half-hour comedy hour, or they did some kind of they'd started
You had told me about this. I've never seen it.
Their own new. Oh, I watched 2 episodes, and it was so ungodly bad.
Yeah.
I mean, because listen, the right and the left both have buffoons that you could easily make fun of.
Yes.
It's a lot more fun because of the hypocrisy on the right, but there is some of that on the left too. So I'm like going, okay, let's see how. I don't know who was writing for that show, but it was not funny.
Right.
At all.
Well, most of the art types are lefties,
Yeah.
So you're not going to get really great. I mean, of course, there are some right wing.
I would say the blue collar tour gentlemen probably have perhaps a little more rightish leaning, but they're not right wing comedians.
No, not at all. No, and I think Ron White is actually really funny. I like some of his stuff.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Went to go see the very last night. I can't remember the name of the joint. It was the comedy club up in Marietta off Roswell.
Roswell.
Yeah.
Oh, the Starlight place?
No. It was like the Chuckle Hut. I don't know what the hell it's called. But
Okay.
anyway, it had been there for like 30 years.
The Funny Farm or whatever?
Whatever. No idea.
Yeah.
But Mindy and I went to the very last performance ever at that venue because they were getting kicked out. Guess what was going in? Mixed use development. Because let's tear down.
We need more of that in Atlanta.
Yeah, let's tear down our history and build something up to the sky so that we can put more cars on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, and the act was Craig Robinson.
Oh, really?
Craig Robinson. But for like 2 hours before he came on was a series of other comedians.
Cool.
And Mindy was kind of bummed because the night before she had went to go see and paid a shit ton of money to see Ron White at like Cobb Energy.
Yeah.
That motherfucker came back to his old stomping ground and did about 1/3 to 40% of his, of his Cobb Energy routine. It's like, holy crap! I just, the value of my Cobb Energy ticket just dropped almost by half because now I'm hearing the same jokes I heard literally 24 hours ago
in
this tiny little place.
That's amazing.
Craig was fun. I think he was just drunk and just wanted to send the place off with a lot of nonsense.
Really?
It was just, him on the keyboard, just doing his shenanigans. I mean, I've definitely been to better comedy shows.
Now, that brings up another point or another genre. How do you feel about musical comedians?
Yeah, no problem at all, as long as it's good. I mean, let's face it, the king. Come on, Weird Al.
Oh, Weird Al, yes.
Now he's more of a musical parody. He's not a stand-up that has, like, Tenuta will do some songs on the accordion. That's not, Weird Al is strictly, he does no stand-up.
Right, I've seen Weird Al live,
so
and
have
it's just,
he just does the songs. He might say one or two funny things in between, but, any performer might say something funny in between.
Yeah, but it's not
Robin Hitchcock, I challenge anybody to come up with an artist with better between song patter
Okay.
than Robin Hitchcock. He is so eccentric and British. He just comes the best thing that ever came out of his mouth at his show. Do you remember the Point in Little Five? That club way back. This is like easily.
Yeah, I think I know where it is. Yeah.
Went to go
Or where
see.
it was,
Went to go.
actually.
Yeah, where it was. I think it's where Corner Tavern is
Yeah,
now.
yeah, that is. Yeah, that is
And
what I was thinking.
he finished the song and went back, got a drink of water, came up there, and he's kind of looking out of the audience, and they're waiting for the next song. And he goes, "This is a song about being menaced by solid objects," and then goes into some song. I don't know what the hell that is, but that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. And he comes up with, he's the greatest. So I would put him definitely. I mean, if I had the pull, I'd try to get him to do a spoken word record for my label. But he is signed to Yep Rock, and I don't know if I could manage that.
Worth a shot.
But I certainly would like to.
Yeah.
Well, so we'll see.
Well, because I have seen, I saw Garfunkel and Oates one time.
I've not seen.
Yeah, they came through the Laughing Skull a couple years ago, and Courtney was on she fell in love with Kate Micucci, and
Me and her both.
Yep.
Everyone thinks that all the guys are hot for
Ricky.
And I'm like, there's nothing wrong with Ricky, but there's something kind of cute and nerdy,
Yeah.
About Kate Micucci.
Yeah, and they were really, they just hung out after the show, and we took a picture with them, and I got to talk to them a little bit. Courtney was freaking out because she watched Raising Hope that Kate was on.
That's right. She was the daycare.
The daycare, yeah. And she played her ukulele stuff. And
that's right.
And
same thing. She was also the Ted's girlfriend in Scrubs. Remember oh man, the hospital lawyer
Vaguely,
in Scrubs. That's she showed up as the girlfriend, and of course she had her her ukulele there too.
Yep.
So I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And she's actually, they portray her to be kind of an ugly nerd. She's not. She's very attractive.
Yeah. And they were really funny. I mean, it was 80% music, but
Sex with Ducks is probably one of my favorite.
Their videos are great.
As soon as gay marriage is legalized, it'll be just like men marrying ducks.
Yep.
And like, really? Okay. Well, I'll let my gay friends know that, they're free to marry ducks apparently, because that's a thing now, I suppose.
I saw a performance that they did online somewhere in LA, and they had the best joke in the middle of a song I've ever seen, because they're doing their song, and in the middle of it there's like a solo, but Weird Al comes out and does it on accordion. He does this whole piece and just comes out, and they play the song, and then he just goes off stage, and they get to a break, and she looks over at Ricky and she goes, "That was weird." And then they went back into the song. It was so beautifully played.
Gotta love Weird Al. That's gonna suck when he retires, but
I hope he doesn't. Yeah.
I mean, you can still have Keith Richards is still.
Oh yeah.
Well, he looks like Hoggle from Labyrinth. But,
he sure as hell does.
Oh yeah.
You've seen Weird Al's video for Tacky?
Yes.
Okay, where he walks, and it's like one continual shot.
Exactly. It's kind of like a was it? What's the name of that? OK Go.
Yes.
Where they come up with these innovative,
crazy elaborate,
like the kind of stuff that basically would have broke MTV in the 80s or early 90s. Like Sledgehammer would no longer be the greatest video ever played more times on MTV. They would have played that because it was so innovative.
Yep. But when I saw Weird Al at Chastain Park, which is an outdoor amphitheater here, that's the song they opened with.
Yeah.
Band starts, big screen, and there's Al, and he's doing a continual shot, and I was like, fuck, he's outside. He was outside somewhere, and they had it timed out. So the whole song goes off, and he's being filmed, and he's walking through different places, and he finally, and like the last chorus, he walks out on stage,
nice.
Followed by with the camera in front of him.
Okay,
it was amazing. It was so well done.
I did an Indigo Girls gig at Chastain, so I know the little path he took to get to the.
Yeah, it was back by where the tour buses are and where the trucks and all that. But I mean, they had it timed out to where he came right on stage at the very end of it. It was gorgeous.
That's well done. We like Weird Al.
Yep.
Who else have you seen?
Who else have I seen? Okay, here's my a little ashamed to say it at this point. Okay, my
Oh boy!
because at the time
You saw Bill Cosby.
no, I did not see Bill Cosby. I would have back in the day.
Because you didn't know.
That's a problem because
But you know what? I mean, he is a legend. He did,
Those-
But now, would you, if like $20 tickets, go see Bill Cosby do all his classic routines?
No.
I'd be like,
No.
for historical sake, I'd be tempted, but I don't want to give that fucker a dime of my money.
No.
So...
I wouldn't do that. I still have trouble like listening to the records because the records are brilliant.
Well, because that stand-up is, I mean, it's not like a band song where everyone writes, together. It's the comedy. He wrote that, so it's coming from him.
Right.
So all of a sudden, things that were ha 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 before, you're like, oh, I could take it that other way. Oh.
No, there's not. But I don't think there's a lot of that with his stuff.
Probably
It
not.
is pretty innocent.
But you listen
but
to
just
it with
the
a
fact
jaw
of
just-
what we know now
Yeah.
makes it tough. No. My I don't want to say shame, but I've seen Jeff Dunham with his puppets like twice.
Is that at Courtney's behest?
No. We were both fans of his first couple specials, and then he did this one special where he like half the special was the fucking puppets bagging on his ex-wife. He evidently got divorced, and it was just him like being a dick to his ex-wife. And I was like, all right, I'm out. I'm done. The puppets got Ahmed got a little more racist, and it was just like, I think I'm done. I think I'm out of this guy. We really like his first special was real funny, and the first
I've seen little clips of him on YouTube, and I think I watched a little something on Comedy Central once, and he's a good ventriloquist, and the jokes are a little corny, a little, but yeah, it was okay. Kind of like how remember Robin Thicke when he was hot with was it Blurred Lines?
Yeah.
We won't go into the whole problem
That's a
about
whole other
consent there.
Yeah.
But then he apparently screwed around on his wife, and she left him, and he wanted her back. So his next album, he named it after her.
Yeah.
And it was Baby, I'm sorry, I'm like that, and it died.
Yeah.
It tanked.
And she said, "Fuck off."
Yeah, he's like,
it didn't work.
it's like,
What was
wow,
that?
that's a grand gesture, and you sacrificed your career for nothing because, hope you enjoyed those naked models on the video there because it cost you your marriage or something cost him his marriage.
Right.
I've already run out of the comics I've seen live. I have not seen a lot of
I'm
live
trying to think
comedy.
of who else. I have seen Howie Mandel live.
I don't have a real urge to, but please.
At the time, yeah, it was. I mean, this is all like I guess I've been into stand up quite a long time.
I suppose if I
'cause this
thought
is
about it, if I had like a place that I knew and like, I'd probably check to see who was playing more often and go. Because I mean, I got nothing against stand-up comedy. It's just between bands and TV shows and movies, and my podcast partner going to see Logan without me and all these other things. It's hard to find time to go and say and do and whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I've been into stand up a long time. There's a lot of weird like older stand-ups that no one's ever heard of that I remember seeing on television and stuff, like John Mulrooney and Kelly Monteith and
oh wow, talk about your B list.
Yeah, but there was a show on before Comedy Central was a thing. There was a show on Fox on Friday nights.
Yeah, it was Ha TV.
No, this was Fox. This is like
no.
when I was in
I'm
high
just
school.
remembering it was Ha TV and Comedy Central, and then I think Comedy Central merged with Ha TV, and that's
It was it was Ha, and then it was the Comedy Channel.
Was that
and
what
they
it was?
merged and made Comedy
Central. Is that what it was?
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I remember that was a thing back when Craig Kilborn was still somebody you even knew who the hell he was.
Right.
So.
Trying to think of more stand-ups I've seen, or at least albums that I have. Who we play, one of my favorite stand-up albums is from Dave Attell, who we just played at the top of the show.
Is it Skanks for the Memory?
Skanks for the Memories. That album is brutal. I mean, it's an amazing set.
To this day, every once in a while, when something goes, I'll just go Jaeger.
Yeah.
Jaeger. Jaeger. Yeah, I watched. I still have I still have the video cassettes of Insomniac, because he did a couple of the DVDs, but it's not everything. And I taped every one of those things. Just the theme song alone is worth watching.
Right.
And they did New York usually once or twice per season. It was on for like 4 seasons, because he would always either start or end in New York, and sometimes he did both.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, he always ended in New York.
All right.
Because he'd come in and like some like midget in bondage gear was like subletting his apartment while he was on the room, like, get out of here, I'm going to go to bed now.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. Speaking, going back to where we were talking about before, about comics with a great deal of affect.
Okay.
Try to think of one that has more affect than Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, where like the diaphragm is actively...
it's got to be Kinnison.
No. Well, Kinnison would just yell every once in a while. I mean,
more. Yeah. Give me another.
Did some acting.
Did some acting.
He directs now. He wrote and directed Shakes the Clown.
Oh, yes, Bob Goldthwait.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Good old little Bobcat.
Yeah.
He doesn't do that voice anymore.
He does it like once or twice a show. He says just to do it.
You're like, here you go. But most of the time he's just
his stand-up, and his stand-up's great.
Yeah.
He has a couple specials on Netflix right now, and I watched one of them, and it's Bob Scratch Goldfarb, as he calls himself.
Do you remember the name of his first comedy album?
No, not a clue.
It's called Meat Bob, MEAT, and it has him as like packaged meat under the cellophane,
right,
with a sticker on it.
I remember watching him when I was a kid. I would like sneak out and watch Letterman, because that show was made my brain.
Letterman, when he was on NBC late at night, I tell you, just I put him above Carson
at that point. Yeah.
Oh, at pretty much any point. I mean, Carson was just he was old school.
Yeah.
Letterman was new school.
Yeah. Letterman was revolutionizing television at that point.
And the art form under Carson was monologue.
It was classic. It was, it was,
and just the stuff that I still loved. Just throw things off the building.
Yeah.
My favorite was the trampoline and the suit made out of one half of Velcro and the wall of the other. And he just go, and he stuck. It was such a stupid idea, and it was amazing.
And he had the thrill cam, which was a camera on a track that was like would go through the studio and just like shoot.
And the monkey cam.
And the
Chris
dancing
Elliott
waters
under the seats.
Yep. But I used to sneak out and watch Letterman, and I remember seeing Bobcat, and he scared the crap out of me. I didn't like him at all. He was so insanely manic.
You thought that he was in the middle of like a palsy or something.
And I was a kid at the time, and it was like, this guy's terrifying.
But then you saw Drew Barrymore's breasts and went, all is right with the world.
Well, I didn't, but that was way later. That was
that was way later.
Yeah.
But that's, back when we cared about Drew Barrymore. Although, from what I hear, Santa Clarita Diet that she's in is actually really good.
That's what I've heard.
I have not watched it yet, but it is on the list of 10,000 million shows that even now as we're recording, like 4 hours of shows are DVRing that I have to catch up on. It's awful. Now, one of the great living legends that's still around, and now Rickles, we said he wasn't the last, and you had mentioned.
I said Alan King.
Alan King. There's another one, even more huge, mega.
I know one, but it's not who you're gonna say. Shelley Berman is still alive.
Yes and no.
Okay. Bob Newhart.
And the reason I bring up Bob Newhart. Yep. Because he stole the telephone gig
from Shelley Berman.
Shelley Berman.
Yeah.
And I want to put this on the record. I mean, nothing against Bob, except that he stole it.
Yeah.
But he's like a legend, and when Shelley Berman passes away, it's not going to be a big deal outside of the comedy circles, and that's a shame because they're both still around.
Right.
Actually, I believe that Shelley Berman plays the father of what's his name on Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David's father.
Really?
Yeah, on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he's shown up in some David E. Kelly shows as the judge. Remember, was it Chicago Law or
Boston Legal?
Boston Legal, that's
Yeah.
it, something like that. He did what? Boston Legal, Boston Public.
Yeah.
Let's go through all the
Well, that's what they're doing with Chicago now. Chicago has got like 7 shows on the air.
How many cops and
Yeah.
medical shows can there
And
possibly?
lawyer shows. It's never going to stop.
Let's go back to Fox when they had Rock. What did Rock do? He was a garbage man.
Yeah.
There's comedy there. I watched that
Yep.
show. That was a fun show.
Yep.
Shame. But I am a huge, huge, huge Shelley Berman fan.
Wow,
I
okay.
have every single album he ever put out, even the one he did when he did like a mini comeback in the 80s. Because he was big from about 50 to about 70, early 70s maybe. And then he pissed off for 15 years.
Right.
And then did a one-off. And now he's just in his golden years.
Yeah. And he did an interview with Mark Maron. He did a WTF.
Did he? I need to find that.
Yeah, it's I probably have it. And he's still not real happy about Bob Newhart. He's
Yeah, you
still
think?
not real happy about it.
I mean, it's not like comedians today are doing the telephone gig, but I mean, that's how Bob made his bones.
Album,
I think
yeah,
to
but
this
that-
day, he has the best-selling, highest-charting comedy record in all of history.
Is it?
Or at least
It's got to be up there. I wouldn't
it's up
say
there.
it's the
maybe
most.
not above.
It may have been at a time.
Because remember, in the '90s, we had, and let's move on to him now, Andrew Dice Clay.
Yeah.
Wow, that was. I've heard a couple of it's a lot of misogyny and faggot jokes. And
completely.
I don't.
As a teenager, I thought some of it was funny.
Yeah.
And the bit, the whole act was, the whole character was interesting. It was funny. Yeah, it was.
EMF used them very well in the Unbelievable song.
Yep. He did an album, like he did his first couple big albums, and then he did an album that was literally called The Day the Laughter Died.
Like a double or triple.
It's a double or triple album.
Yeah.
And it's, in my opinion, it's unlistenable. It's not comedy.
He signed to Def Jam.
Yeah.
That was like the big thing. Like, oh my God, you're on the same label as, probably, Beasties were probably on Capitol by then. But I mean, Beasties have been on there, LL Cool J,
Run
DMC.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, this is big deal. And I never owned any of his stuff, but I heard bits of it here.
Yeah,
and
somebody
there.
lent me The Day the Laughter Died, and it was just not one funny thing on it at all.
It was a bunch of alpha male posturing,
Yeah.
and denigrating women, and I'm just I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll admit to laughing at jokes sometimes that I shouldn't,
Yeah.
because they are funny, and then you think, oh, that's horrible, but yeah, that was funny. And it's just not a fan.
Right.
His greatest bit was as the bouncer in Pretty in Pink.
Yep.
That's right, where he played the Dice Man.
Yep.
He played himself. He's kind
One
of
of
like
the-
Ron Funches on all the shows that he does. He always plays
He
Ron.
plays Ron,
He's
yeah.
Ron in Powerless right
He
now.
is, yes.
Exactly.
He also did one of the best terrible movies that has ever been
Oh,
made.
Ford Fairlane.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a classic.
It's a classic.
Of Baditude.
It's terrible.
It's up there with what's that one that Willis did with Danny Aiello?
Hudson Hawk.
Hudson Hawk.
That's a
Ford Fairlane and Hudson Hawk are two of the greatest bad films ever.
absolute 100%.
I mean, they should Rocky Horror that film because there's so much just it's ripe for.
I want to get our buddy Topher Payne, who is now friends with Lauren Holly, who was in Ford Fairlane.
That's right.
I want him to tell her that I believe that I don't know what movie she was in, but she was in a different movie than everybody else because she's great in the movie.
Yeah, that was. I remember seeing that probably on home video. I certainly didn't go to the theater. To see it.
No, but that was a perennial. Like when I was living in New York with my buddy, we would watch that constantly.
Now I almost would want to put Cold as Ice, or is it Cool as Ice?
No, that's just
in that,
bad though.
But I haven't seen it, so but everyone says it's so bad it's good. I'm like,
but that's not the same.
That's a fine line. It has to be good bad, not bad bad.
Yeah, I recently watched Fort Fairlane again. Like, I don't know where I acquired. Somebody sent me a DVD, I think is what it was.
Wow.
Like I literally don't know where I got it. And I was like, I was home alone. I was like, let me put this on. And I was like, wow, this is terrible. Wow, this is amazing.
Cringeworthy. I want to talk about, who do you think is the angriest comedian around right now? There is only one answer.
Around right now?
Yeah. Well, been around for a while, but is around right now. I mean, just angry.
Just angry.
Constantly. Like, Kinnison would do a bit and then he'd yell. This guy's pretty much amped up all the time.
I don't know. There's a lot.
Lewis Black.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. Cranky old man comedy.
Oh, yeah, but he's amazing.
Oh, he's fucking brilliant at it.
Because I'm a Jew.
Not everything lands perfectly, but his shit, I mean, you can always tell when he's off tour because all of a sudden the Back in Black moments start up again on The Daily Show.
Oh, okay.
Because he used to, used to do that pretty consistently, but then he goes on tour and, he doesn't have time to come by the studio, or he might even pre-tape some of those for all I know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm a big
I like
Lewis
Lil a
Black
lot.
fan.
Yeah.
I would definitely go.
He does the best coiled spring, because like he'll start telling a story like this, and then it just
exactly. The punchline is like he needs to put his mic about 10 feet from his mouth because he's about to scream at you. His stuff is really good.
Yep.
Who do you think is our greatest homegrown comedian here in Atlanta? There's only one answer.
Homegrown. Is this someone we know personally?
No.
Oh.
God, I wish. That'd be great.
I'm trying to think. Who's local? I don't know.
I'll give you the name of one of his albums.
Okay.
Shut up, you fucking baby.
I don't know.
He's a never nude.
David Cross?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize he was from Atlanta.
Local.
Oh, okay.
He's a local boy.
Yes. I like David Cross a lot.
Absolutely.
I've only heard a little bit of his stand-up.
I've got, I don't know how many albums he has out. I have 2, maybe 3.
He's got 3 or 4. I know he's got one bigger and blacker.
Yeah, because he was making fun of Chris Rock, which, of course, we need to talk about Chris Rock.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way I get the feeling from his comedy is I'm doing my shit, and you know what? I hope you laugh, but if you don't, fuck you. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing, and if you get me, great, and if you don't, but more in a way that other comics may have that attitude. He's like upfront about it. Like, I don't really care about what you think about my comedy. You paid, I got your money already, so here it is.
Yep.
But from what I understand, he's a very nice guy. I've heard little stories from people who've gone to see him when he was, local here. And they said that he was just nice as hell.
Yeah, I've seen interviews and stuff, and he's just doing his thing.
And it gives hope to kind of schlubby bald Jews out there that he nailed Amber Tamblyn. I mean like married her.
Yes.
Yes.
They just had
Joan of Arcadia, not too shabby.
Okay, this is how amazingly cool they are. I might have to have you stall. They announced, how celebrities will name their children like silly
ridiculous
names.
Bullshit.
Yeah. David Cross and Amber Tamblyn, when they had announced, where is it? Hold on. So David Cross and Amber Tamblyn made an announcement of their child.
Yeah.
Okay. And here's the tweet. David and I are proud to announce the birth of our daughter, Dauphinois, Petunia, Brittany, Scheherazade, Von Funkenstein, Mustard Witch, RBG Cross, Tamblin Bay Jr. The future is female.
Oh, God, please let that be real.
I don't believe it's quite accurate.
Oh, that would be awesome. The Funkenstein.
Von Funkenstein.
Yeah, that's Funkenstein. Funkenstein. Now, who has a reputation out there in the comedy world, aside from Carlos Mencia, of stealing jokes?
I know Robin Williams got labeled that.
Oh, did he?
He did, yeah. And he would like apologize and pay for it. And he said, he was just such a sponge and so high when he would go see comics that he wouldn't realize he was doing it.
And that's, I run into that sometimes. If I'm writing, I'll sit back and go, gosh, that is brilliant. And then I go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And I take the phrase that I think is so brilliant, I'll put quotations on it, run it into Google and go, nope, I totally stole that.
Yep.
Damn it.
Yep. Mencia is the biggest one. I don't know who you're talking about.
Dane Cook.
Okay.
Dane Cook actually got called out on that by Louis C.K. and then they did an episode of Louis together where they kind of fought about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's either the same episode or close to the episode where he fucks Joan Rivers.
Okay.
Like, that actually happened.
Oh, my God.
I mean, well, not
on the show.
It happened on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, for all I know,
he may have.
Joan may have been up for it. Who knows? I mean, Louis kind of a self-loathing guy. Like, she's old enough to be my grandma. Whatever.
Right.
So, but yeah, that's the rumor that, because you remember in the 90s, or even in the early aughts, Dane Cook was, no, I think it was more early aughts.
Early aughts, yeah.
Yeah, that's a little too early. He was packing stadiums with his comedy, with his Sufi thing.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I saw anything was the drive-through with the Pickles comedy special he did on Comedy Central before he really blew up. And I thought, damn, that guy is a very aggressive, physical, funny as shit. And then it kind of got progressively worse.
Well, there was no comedy. I watched one of his specials and I was like, he hasn't told a joke at all. It's
kind of stream of consciousness where,
but it became like frat boy stream of consciousness.
Exactly. It was very
targeted.
Very not even alpha male, like beta male. Just, frat boy, bullshit. And of course it ran its course and now, and he had his shot at movies and I don't think a single one of them. Actually, one of them is actually a classic.
Okay.
The one it was called Waiting.
Oh yeah.
In the Shenanigans.
Yeah.
Where he played like a waiter or something like that. Now of course it wasn't a him.
It was more of an ensemble.
It was an ensemble film that he was in rather than a Dane Cook. But I think he was the biggest star at the time, so he got top billing.
Right.
But he definitely that was a good film. I like that one.
Yeah.
But whatever happened to Dane Cook?
He's still around. He's
he still doing stuff?
Yeah.
He's out of Boston, if I remember correctly.
That sounds about right.
That's his stomping ground. And you know what? How many stand-ups are big forever? I mean, there was a point where, Andrew Dice Clay was selling out stadiums.
Oh, yeah.
Now you'd be lucky to sell out the Chuckle Hut at 200 people. So same thing with music, same with any kind of entertainment.
With any kind of art, yeah.
There's very few that you could pack stadiums for ever and ever and ever.
Right.
It's just not the way it works. But someone who walked away from comedy history, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah. Well, he's back.
He's creeping back.
He's got Netflix specials.
Netflix special, and he went on SNL.
Yeah, and I watched that monologue
and did okay. He's my president. I'll give him a shot. And like, sure, I already gave him the shot, and 1 second into it, he fucked me. So I have nothing good to say about Donald Trump in any way, shape, or form.
Well, we know that,
but really, have I not made myself clear about
you've mentioned it
about
one
what
time,
an ass clown that? Yeah, okay.
But Chappelle,
But Chappelle, yeah, his block party movie was pretty good because he got Fugees on there.
Right.
I mean, he was showing Kanye West on Chappelle's show before he blew up.
Yeah. Well, I remember watching. Like I said, I've watched a lot of stand up. Seeing him on like little shows here and there when he was 19, and it was amazing.
What was that stoner comedy he did?
Oh, Half Baked.
Is that it? Half Baked. That's So
that's a stoner classic. Yeah,
a stoner classic. Yeah, I can't say that.
Not my thing.
Yeah,
but...
I'm not really. I'm not a stoner. Never was. No. So that kind of comedy doesn't affect me exactly the same way.
Yep.
Maybe I need to hold it in a bit longer and. And we talked for a second about Chris Rock. He started out on SNL when he was like 19.
Well, he was another kid doing stand-up is what it was. And Eddie Murphy saw him when he was a kid, and like he was kind of a protege, and that's what led him to SNL is what it was.
And as far as stand-up game goes, I think Chris Rock has surpassed Eddie Murphy. I mean, those two albums are classic, but Murphy's stopped doing stand-up.
Yeah, when he started doing movies, he stopped doing stand-up.
Exactly. Same thing happened with Steve Martin. And for a long time, same thing happened with Robin Williams. But thank God he came back to stand up. When we lost him, that was rough. Harlan was very good friends with Robin. In fact, they had plans the following week to hang out. And of course, Harlan had no idea that this was going on with him. He kept it from his own wife.
Right.
So that was, but thank God he came back, did the Broadway record.
Yeah, the Broadway record.
And
great.
He played here a couple of times.
Did he?
And it was one of those things. I did it to myself again. Like, oh, he's back. I'll catch him next time. Or tickets in, I'll catch it next time. And now there's no next time.
There's no next time.
So
yeah.
that really sucked. But I haven't seen Chris Rock go out very often.
No, he does every now and again. But
he's got bank. He doesn't have to work if he doesn't want to.
No.
And you know what? Hey, if I right now was sitting on all the money I needed to live out the rest of my life, I would choose what I do carefully.
Yeah.
Like if I really wanted, if I had something to say, if I was a comic, I'd go out. And if not, it's a lot of work, man.
It is.
I mean,
to do an hour.
I told you I did an evening in Emory class. My first 2 months I was in Atlanta. I knew nobody,
right?
And I had no job. I was sitting on a chunk of money because I was traveling the country, so I could, live and everything. And I went, you know what? I'm gonna take a couple evening Emory classes, meet some people, do some stuff. And one of the classes I took was a stand-up class.
Okay.
And I learned something very, very quickly. All those people who said, "Oh, Michael, you're so funny. You should be a comedian." No, for two reasons. One, I can't be funny on command.
Right.
I can riff on whatever's going on and come up with a joke.
Yep.
But coming up to a mic and go, joke? No, can't do it. And also, when I do try, the material I have goes 70 times faster than I think. I think I got a tight 5-minute set. No, 90 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
And it's gone.
Yeah.
And you're just sitting there going,
and that's nerves too.
Well, of course, exactly. Yeah. I'm like, you know what? There's a reason I'm not a performer. Believe me, it's like, hey, I think maybe I want to perform. Hey, why don't you go to the most advanced, hardcore part of performing possible? Stand up.
Yeah.
I mean, literally. I mean, there's nothing more insane. Name something more insane than that.
Nothing.
No. I mean, at least if you're in a play or a musical, you know what to do, and you just have to do it as best as you can. As a comic, you are the show.
Yeah.
Everything is you.
Yep.
Or at least for while you're on stage, there's no one else that can cover for you because you suck.
And I've been performing my whole life, and I've done sketch, and I've done plays, and I've done stuff. I've never done stand-up, and I don't think I ever will. It's way harder than people actually think.
Yeah. I'd be more inclined to write sketch comedy than write, or even write an occasional joke for somebody than actually do
you have to be a special kind of
to
person do it.
And you also have to be able to take 5 to 20 years of horrible abuse.
You got to be bad for a decade.
Oh yeah. You have to suck outright for a while before. I mean, there's hardly anybody that can get up there and just charm the crowd immediately from nothing. It just doesn't work out that way.
2 albums that I want to just mention, and there are 2 kind of one of these comedians has more classic albums, but there are two stand-ups who started as stand-ups who worked onto other things and put out some of the most brilliant stand-up ever. Okay. Albert Brooks.
Oh, yes.
Has done some of the best.
Most people don't even know that he's a stand-up.
Exactly. And also another dicey individual, Woody Allen, has one of the best stand-up albums.
Well, dicey, but not
quite as bad as
not Bill Cosby dicey,
but still a little icky.
Yeah,
But if you ignore that, he did stand up in the late 50s, I would say, in New York.
Late 50s, early 60s.
And I've
got that album.
Yeah.
And it's very
So do I. That's all there is.
It's pretty much it's stand-up that it's the kind of jokes you'd get in any of his early decade of films.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like that same kind of comedy just permeates throughout his set, goes right into the films.
And people don't know that. And like Albert Brooks as well, people know him an actor, and a director and stuff, but his stand-up stuff is amazing as well.
You know that Woody Allen performs every week.
Yeah, he plays clarinet.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get
you.
No.
No.
He's not doing stand-up. He's doing clarinet because he's a big jazz fan.
Oh, yeah. Dude, I'm from New York. Of course I know.
Now, who would you say right now is one of the most innovative comics on the scene right now?
That's hard to say because there's so many.
There are so many. I'm thinking of one in particular. It helps that he has his own or is part of an ensemble voice cast for a current Fox cartoon.
Cartoon, okay. Simpsons, no. Seth MacFarlane?
No. Oh God, no. I think no. He likes to do the big band,
right?
Drinking.
I don't know.
Eugene Merman.
Oh,
from
yes.
Bob's Burgers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, Kristen Shaw as well.
Kristen Shaw is a horse. Kristen Shaw is a horse. Look it up, people. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kristen Shaw. She's strange in that she's goofy, funny, but kind of sexy. I don't know. There's just something otherworldly, weirdly appealing about her. She's on Last Man on Earth right now.
Yeah.
And she's also the other child, or one of the other three children on Bob's Burger.
Yep.
And Bob's Burgers. And that's one of my favorite little shows that crept out of nowhere. Where you thought, this probably isn't going to last. And after 3 episodes, you're like, those kids, that's the show.
Yeah.
I mean, you think H. John Benjamin doing the voice, like and he does fine, but those kids, that makes the show. Yes. Especially Eugene's character, Gene.
Yeah.
Gene, absolutely classic. And of course, I could not let it go without mentioning 2 of my favorite all-time comedians before we close up.
Okay.
One that's old school, one is that exceptionally old school. You know how Eugene Merman is the classic, or not the classic, is the innovative, cutting edge, guy now. Who would you say that guy about 10 years ago?
10 years ago.
Also, he had a Comedy Central show.
Marin? No.
I don't know. Dimitri Martin.
I love Dimitri Martin.
Remember Important Things?
Yes, absolutely.
Some of those concepts were so simple that you're like, that is so hilarious. Why didn't I even think of that? Yep. It is. He takes
another music guy too.
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely. And he went away, and I think I saw him on a commercial recently, being like a spokesperson for something. I can't remember what it was. I'm like, okay, well, apparently Comedy Central money did him well, and he stopped doing comedy, or I don't know what he's up to now.
Right.
He's not making that sweet Amy Schumer money.
No, but
have you watched the Amy Schumer?
Oh yeah,
that's a damn good show.
Oh yeah, she is really brilliant. Her stand up is good too.
I think I've seen maybe one of her specials.
I think I've seen 1, maybe 2 of them,
but yeah, I love that whole thing about the actresses reaching a certain age and being put out to pasture, where they send them out on a Viking funeral.
Yeah,
like, well, apparently the press is in. Apparently you're not hot anymore. And Julie Louis-Dreyfus is like, wow, I can't believe I made it this far. It's like, she still looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
And I think she's in her 50s now.
easily, yeah.
So I'm like, Well done. And she's on Veep,
Yeah.
which is about to come back again. Probably one of the greatest half-hour comedies that's on any television right now. But the old school, the old school. Well, not too old, like 80s old.
Okay.
Alexi Sale.
Okay, now you're getting weird.
Oh, come on.
Well, no,
you know who Alexi Sale is.
No, of course I do.
He's the Bolosky family.
Yes, I just mean his comedy is really weird.
Stalinist, communist, Leninist, whatever. Yeah, exactly. That's for the invasion of Crete.
Yeah.
Click. Yeah. He looks like Mussolini.
Yeah.
And he's actually come back to doing stand-up.
Has he really?
Yeah, he did some travel shows. He did a couple of TV shows. He actually appeared in one of the Indiana Jones films.
I was going to bring that up, yeah. In The Last Crusade, he was the Sultan who sold him the Rolls Royce.
Exactly.
Phantom 2.
Phantom 2, very... And he was a main person in a movie called Gorky Park back in the late 80s. Yeah.
That's one of those Merchant Ivory deals, wasn't it?
No, I don't think it was. Gorky Park is like a spy espionage.
Oh, I'm thinking Mansfield Park. Okay.
Mansfield Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that...
No, I know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
With Gorky Park.
So, and I am still waiting for his stuff to get issued on any format outside of vinyl, and I have been in touch with who I think is him through the web, but the person coming back says, "Well, don't worry about who has the rights." He's very. It tells me like, send me some money and I'll let you put it out. And I don't think I'm actually talking to him.
Oh yeah.
So I've kind of backed off it because CBS put that stuff out. His 2 comedy albums and 2 EPs and about 5 singles back in the 80s. Huh. And I've timed it all out, and a 2-disc set will collect everything he's ever done stand-up wise.
Okay. And
I want to put it out. But I have a feeling CBS might have something to say about that.
Yeah.
And so there we are.
All right.
But that's, I guess we'll just have to leave it there. But the number one artist that I want to collect up all their comedy stuff, did a selection of 78s back in the 30s and 40s.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you remember?
Medication time. Medication time.
We ran out of time. I will tell you next week.
The 9 Billion Names Pod was conceived, written, and performed by Michael Reed and Dan Bowman, with Abdul Beni Hassan as the sound of splintering wood. Research, transportation, and exasperated looks by Courtney Loner. Technical assistance by Cubase, Pro Tools, Skynet, QLab, Deep Thought, Big Brother, and Eddie, your shipboard computer. Financial consideration provided by the Wayne Foundation, Stark Industries, the Piranha Brothers, and LexCorp. Legal counsel by the Office of Howard and Fine. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Our intro music was written by Tim Akers. This podcast was sponsored by Deep Shack Records and its production of Audio Primate. Throw us a couple stars on iTunes, why don't you? Listen, watch on YouTube, listen on SoundCloud, stream us on Stitcher, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, or email us, comlink@billionpod.com. Till this happens again, I'm Dan Bowman.
I'm Michael Reed.
Hello, Z!
Audio Primate.